Okay, the LeetCode fallacy. Okay, I do want to watch this.
Just improve your problem-solving skills and you'll be able to pass all your coding interviews. Just solve some linked list questions over here and some tree questions over there, and then you'll be able to derive the edit distance algorithm yourself, just like this Soviet mathematician did in the 1960s. If that sounds ridiculous to you, it's because it is. Let me tell you a little secret. You're not supposed to figure it out yourself. Did you ever watch that episode of Naruto where the exam is intentionally designed to be so difficult that the only way to pass is to cheat? Well, that's the modern coding interview in a nutshell.
I've done a lot of interviews, and I've never experienced a question that was completely out of left field to where I have to, derive the edit distance. Right? Well, let him cook. No, because I'm addressing his first point. You can't just let somebody cook when they say that. You can't just say, LeetCode can't just say that interviews contain impossible questions in which only people with PhDs solved by deriving them, and then come back and say, no, you can't talk about that. Of course I can talk about that. Okay? I don't think all interview questions are good. Here's the deal. I don't think, let's see, would you discover Dijkstra's algorithm by yourself to use in an interview? I know Dijkstra's algorithm. I've memorized it. And here's the deal. If someone asks you Dijkstra's algorithm and you've memorized it, nice. Free chicken dinner. That's not cheated. That is literally the opposite of not cheating. That's called being prepared for an exam. If you think that's cheating, I think you're dumb. I don't know how else to call it other than that's dumb. Second off, I don't think asking Dijkstra's algorithm would tell you anything about the candidate. Literally, it would tell you nothing about the candidate. You wouldn't know if the person's good or bad at coding or anything. The only thing it would tell you is that the person knows Dijkstra's algorithm. That's it. Yeah, tell that to Google. Well, guess what? I've studied at Google. I've had a job offer at Google, and I was not asked Dijkstra's algorithm. I was asked, how would you implement a CSS selector? Let's just go over the base cases. That's a practical ass question, buddy. Okay? That question is how do you do query select all? Or select query select all, whatever it is. Query selector and query selector all. That's a great question. That is a great question to ask because it's very, very simple. How do you walk a tree? How do you find stuff? How do you do an if, condition? What do you think? Why would you do it? Why should you start at the leaves as opposed to the top, right? We could have talks. We could talk about it. That was my Google interview question. There's a couple other, all of them forgettable, but they're all along that kind of order. Practical questions, right? I think people have these weird Twitter takes about what a coding interview is. Now, I do agree. There are some people that actually ask dumb questions. One time on my Google interview, 13 years back, I was asked how to do a binary search. Now, luckily, binary search is also very, very easy. I destroyed binary search. Yes, I got offered a job at Google. I said, no. I got offered a job at Google, and I said, awesome. What's the offer? And they said, okay, it's 10% less than your current pay, but it's a starting point. And I said, that is a starting point behind my current point. I don't know why I'm doing this hand motion. It's just when somebody says it's a starting point in a very insulting way, it makes me think of whatever the girl's name is, the daughter's name is off of Schitt's Creek. That's all I think about. It's a starting point. It's just yeah, you're right. That is a starting point. But it's a jerk starting point, and I don't want your crappy starting point. Alexis, there you go. It's such an Alexis move. It's a starting point. Did they ask you to use Dijkstra's? I love Schitt's Creek. It's great. I love the first couple seasons. I thought the first couple seasons was absolutely fantastic. For those that don't know how to do Dijkstra's, it's actually pretty simple, okay? All you do is you just have a list of distances, right? Those usually involve 0 through whatever, and you set them all to infinity except for your source node. You set that one to 0, and then you can use a min heap right here, and then you can grab the distance. You grab the first one, the smallest distance, boom, then you start at A, and then you re-go through and compute all the edges, and if it's lower, you update each one of the edges. So therefore, as long as A is attached to something, you then update each one of these. Let's pretend this is B. Now it went from infinity to 3, and then again, you just go through the list, you find the minimum one, bada bing, bada boom, then you do that again, and you just keep on doing it all the way to the end, and it creates a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful graph with all the minimum distances to travel to every node starting from A. Now do A star. A star I actually don't know. I know A star is A star and Dijkstra's are both breadth first searches, but I actually don't know A star. And by the way, if someone also asked me A star, I would say I don't want to work here. Honestly, if someone asked me Dijkstra's for part of my interview, I would say I don't want to work here. Like, why would I want to work at a place where your gatekeeping is you asking an algorithm that has a definite answer? There is a right answer, and then there's no answer. Like, that's it. There's one answer to Dijkstra's. There's one answer to Quicksort. In fact, Quicksort is so hilariously bad among many devs that when you walk in here, you do quick sort with numbers, and you do this in JavaScript, and you let Copilot solve it. Guess what? Copilot didn't even solve Quicksort. This isn't Quicksort. It looks like Quicksort. It has all the versions of Quicksort. It is almost Quicksort, but it's copying arrays. It's not even Quicksort. It's like merge sort with a pivot. It just fucking pisses me off. Copilot can't even pass this stupid question.
Let me tell you what I mean.
All right, anyways, hey, by the way, just so everybody knows, I actually think LeetCode is absolutely fantastic. You should definitely go. This is like my second video I think I've watched of LeetCode. Very amazing creator. You should definitely go subscribe to his channel. All right.
We all learned long multiplication as kids. We all memorized this algorithm. To get the product
I learned long multiplication. You know what I'm talking about, girl?
Of these two numbers, first we take 2 times 5, that's 10, the 1 is carried, then we do 2 times 5 over here, that's 10
Why didn't you carry the 1?
We remember we carried the 1, so it's actually 11.
You
we start
write it up
all
on
over
top,
with the 3
LeetCode.
on the second row, but before we have the 0
doing,
over here,
LeetCode?
and then we say 3 times 5, that's 15,
No,
then we
stop
say
writing
3
the 1
times
right
5
there.
once again, that's 15, so this becomes 16. Take these two, add them together, we get 1760. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is just math. How is it relevant to LeetCode? But please just hear me out. Most people don't care enough to ask, why does this work? They don't care enough to notice that this is the same as writing it out like this. But this is a hard problem.
Algorithm.
So let's make it easier. This is really just 5 plus 50. This is really just 2 plus 30.
The man's about the foil. Can we be real here for a second? We're about the foil.
Expanding it out, taking 2 times this part, we get this. Taking 30 times this part, we get this. And this part over here, you can notice, is going to be 10 plus 100. This part over here, I'm actually going to rewrite it. I'm going to make it even more simple. Why not? 30, that's too big. I'd rather have 10 times 3 and then multiply that by 5 plus 50. So now just focusing on this part over here, this is
The man's double foiling.
going to be equal to 15 plus 150. And so this becomes...
By the way, can we take one quick moment here? The man is such a giga-chad. He has a video on LeetCode fallacy that's 6 minutes long and spends a minute and a half giving us a quick multiplication breakdown. Okay, this is so good. This is so good because it is just like, this is going to be a great checkmate moment. I'm so excited for the checkmate. Checkmate me, daddy.
Becomes 110, which it looks pretty familiar over here. This becomes 165, which looks to me like we had that over here. And now it becomes clear why we add a 0 over here, doesn't it? It becomes pretty clear because we just take the 10 out of the 30 over here. This isn't really 3 times these numbers. We just took a shortcut to make it simple for us. And then at the end, we'll add that 10. So just like now, I'm going to add 10. I'm going to add a 0 here. This is 16.
Wait, are there some people in chat right now that haven't just thought about how this stuff works? What I'm learning right now is that chat just simply followed instructions their whole life and they haven't thought about things. Welcome to math.
50. And now this is just addition. I took multiplication and turned it into an addition problem. This is called problem solving. And now that I've gone through this, I have at least a chance of discovering long division on my own. Have you noticed that some people are naturally better at LeetCode or just learn faster than others? Well, usually those people come from another highly technical background like math, and they probably already built a lot of problem-solving skills that can be applied to computer science. It makes sense why a mathematician would have an advantage over, say, a farmer, for example. So what?
I don't know if that's true. I'm not 100% sold on that. I will say one thing. Okay, hold on. Before everyone loses their shit, I will say one thing about math that I particularly loved, and it's why I really enjoyed doing, like, say, Laplace transforms and all that stuff. It's why I was number one when it came to differential equations. Number one at my university, only person to finish the final, got the highest grade, screwed everybody else. F yo couch. That's what happens. Stop sucking. Sucks to suck. Sucks to be number two and below, right? Absolutely destroyed them. And part of the reason why is that I loved going through and being able to do all of these kind of things. It was just fun. I enjoyed it. Just give me that salty brine solution, baby. I was in on it. You know what I mean? And the thing about solving these is that there's like a base algorithm for solving anything, right? Inverse trig substitution is just an algorithm. But to be able to apply it and recognize when a problem needs to have inverse trig substitution becomes an art, becomes something that you have to start recognizing. You get an intuition about certain sets of problems that just simply are better for some strategies versus other strategies. And you start to develop this kind of like ability to look at something and say, okay, we need to use this type of operation. We need to look at this. We need to use this operation. And we need to do this. And really, that is computer science. And that's the experience. That's what an experienced software engineer is the ability, is somebody who's inverse trig substituted 900 times. And now when they see a problem, they can go, this is a trig inverse substitution problem. I can do something out of my bat belt or whatever you want to call it. My back pockets is what's in its pockets is. You can take that out and you know how to solve this particular problem. It doesn't have to match exactly. You may have never seen the problem, but you have a general feeling of how to solve this problem just due to that flashbacks to Arctange. It's flashbacks to Kosh. Where's my Kosh boys at? Where's my telephone wires at? And so I do personally find that math is really, 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 really like helpful, right? The practice of math can build an experience of problem solving despite it's really just an application of algorithms, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying you can't be. And so could someone, like, on average, if you had a pool of people who have gone through and have a bachelor's in math, and you have a bunch of people who are just farmers, which one would likely learn programming easier? And which one would be more useful in probably 1 year? Now, you probably can't say which one would be the best. You can't. You can't say which one's going to be the best out of the group. Who's going to be the best programmer? Because I don't think you can. A lot of people are saying farmers, and a good argument would be that farmers have the ability to work hard for much longer hours. When they hear, oh, you can only work for 6 hours, the farmers are going to kick their asses, okay? Because they're like, you only work for 6 hours? Yo, dog, we work from dusk till dawn on some nights. Have you ever done an all-nighter, buddy? Have you ever done potato farming by the lights? I don't think you have, okay? Math. You guys are a bunch of weak-ass people. Can't even stick on a pencil that long, right? And so, yeah, one could argue that maybe a different set of skills are trained as a farmer. But nonetheless, if you had two pools, I would put my money on the people who graduated with math degrees over farmers for the first 6 months. Now, if you're going to say in the first 2 years, I actually think I'd invert it and I'd put my money on the farmers. What about 3 years? It's 2 years and beyond. I'd absolutely bet on the farmers over the mathematicians. Resiliency matters. In the short term, I don't think you can just simply adjust your brain fast enough to become an amazing programmer. So I think it just takes time. So therefore, I'm one of those people that, there's a lot of people, especially in the coastal elite areas, where they effectively look down on everybody. Okay, I'm not one of those people. I don't look down on everybody. I actually think that most people can become quite awesome at stuff. Like, very few people are actually too stupid to learn something. But a lot of people, like, you see it a lot, that there's like the dumb people in the middle of the country and the smart people on the coasts. Nah, I don't think that. The flyover states, right? And this is a very American take, by the way. For those that aren't in America, I'm sure you have a version of this that exists, right? I am positive you have something that is out there that you have, people from this location are stupider because of, I don't know. You know what I mean? You don't look down on people because you are from Montana. Well, I mean, I'm on the North Coast, so I'm always looking down. Okay, everything's south. There are no stupid people. Yes, there are stupid people. There are variations in abilities in brains. Of course there is. There's variations in all sorts of bodily characteristics. Of course there'd be variations in people's ability to learn, learning rate, and all that kind of stuff. Of course that exists. Anyone who's had enough kids can tell you for a fact some kids just get it. Some kids just don't get it. It doesn't come down to funding. It doesn't come down to opportunity. Some kids are just going to be naturally more gifted in certain areas than other kids. That's just completely normal. Even in my own family, I can tell you some of my kids just simply get it faster than other my kids. Doesn't mean they're stupid. It just simply means that this type of learning isn't where they excel at, right? I hate to tell you this, but people this idea, there is nothing more annoying in the universe than people who think there aren't truly gifted people or there's not dumb people. Of course, there's going to be somebody that doesn't have the same intellectual capacity. Like, you can't tell me that every single possible physical variation exists in the body, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, no variation in the brain. You're like, yeah, okay, of course there's going to be variations. Like, dude, I have small-ass hands. I am 6 feet tall, and my hands are the same size as my wife. That doesn't make any sense. I'm 6 inches taller than her. I don't even have a neck. What the hell happened to my neck? It's gone. Where did it go? Look at that. I got like 2 inches here, people. It is unfair. Neck privilege is real. Dude, if I had a neck, I'd be like 6'2", 6'3". It would have been awesome. Instead, I'm just like, I don't even get a neck, okay? Donald Trump hands, necklace, and maybe I'm good with math, okay? Is that the trade-off I wanted to make? Probably not the trade-off I wanted to make. You know, if I could have had a choice, I probably would have still chosen it. Imagine how blazing fast you'd be at Vim with bigger hands. I know, imagine. I wouldn't have to move my hands all over the keyboard just to touch all the buttons. You know what I mean? That was your deal with the devil. L on the character creation. Character creation, great stat picking, terrible character creation. Terrible. I was very bad at the UI. Very, very bad at it. Anyways, I'm not exactly sure. Again, I fundamentally do not believe this stat at all. Because either you are directly insulting several of my kids, or B, not everyone is gifted the same way. Absolutely baloney. Absolutely baloney. Like, first off, anytime I see someone just throw out a stat, I think it's stupid. Second off, psychological studies have the greatest inability to be consistent over generation to generation. Right? Like, that is actually a true problem with psychological studies right now, is that they have an incredible inconsistency of result problems. And so for me to hear somebody being like, well, guess what? It actually just said that 90% of kids are really smart. So what happened? Why are you societally damaging your kid? It's like, you know what? That's a fucked up take. Maybe, it would be a lot better to realize that not everybody is going to excel the same way. Some kids just struggle sitting in a class listening to someone talk. Some kids do absolutely fantastic with that. Some kids just get math. You don't have to explain it to them. You don't have to do it. They just get it. It just comes in, comes out, they got it. Some kids struggle with reading. Like, dude, a couple of my kids just struggle with reading comparatively to the other ones. If you think every kid comes out as a genius, then I expect every kid to come out as a good singer. I expect everybody here to go be on America Got Talent, and I want to hear some good-ass singing from all of you. Because society has made your voice bad, and I want you to realize society's holding down your voice, and it's time for you to sing, my little butterflies. It's time for you to fly free.
Can you do to give yourself an advantage? Don't focus on extremes. If you try
That's actually really
to
good.
memorize solutions for every single problem, which is not easy, by the way, you'll never be able to solve a new problem. If you...
I mean, I don't technically like that take, but I see what he's saying. By the way, you shouldn't memorize a solution. Memorize the walk. You know how easy it is to walk a path? It's really easy, right? Like right now, I don't think I could write successfully Dijkstra's easily, but I could tell you how to do Dijkstra's. I would have to remember how to do it. It's because I've memorized the walk. I haven't memorized every single step, right? And it's just like, learn to memorize the important parts and how to apply them. You just simply don't have to memorize every last line of code. People that memorize code, you crazy. What is this memorize the walk? Have you ever, do you have a hike you like? Does it have like one or two forks in the road? Do you have to really think about, okay, I better remember to make this turn? No, the turn is just natural. It's a part of the walk. You just kind of go with it. It was very easy to remember because you didn't have to you didn't memorize every single step of the way. You didn't have to go, okay, after 472 steps, I'm going to have to make sure that I veer right, because if I do not veer right, I'm going to fall off the cliff because it actually also gently turns right. No, your brain just does it all for you. It's very, very simple. The walk is super easy. Nobody thinks about the walk. It's just a hike. You just know how to get to the base of the hike, and you know where the hike ends, right? You don't have to memorize all the steps. And that's why I do Dijkstra's. Dijkstra's is really easy because Dijkstra's it's just like I can remember that.
Never look at the solution for a problem. You'll spend 10 hours on a single problem and still won't be able to figure it out. In my opinion, there is an intersection between memorizing and problem solving. You need a little bit of both. If you're going to memorize anything, please memorize the DFS algorithm. It's the single most important algorithm in coding interviews.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Is DFS the most important, or is BFS the most important? One's a queue, one's a stack. Dijkstra's is a BFS. It's not a DFS. On a uniform weight graph, BFS is how you find the shortest path to an endpoint. Not the most efficient, but that's how you do it. It's just interesting.
Memorize the core CS algorithms like binary search, the sliding window technique. And when you get super familiar with these core skills, you realize that most LeetCode problems are just about identifying which core algorithm to use and then applying it to the specific problem.
I feel like I've said this 9,000 times in this dumb stream. Stop. Thank you, LeetCode. Let's go. Just be good at data structures and algorithms. Stop being a LeetCode champ. Again, the only reason why I say LeetCode can be very, very beneficial is if you do the array problems, because the array problems are a unique set of problems that are going to be just you manipulating data in an array. And that is very, very hard to get good at unless if you just do it, right? You just have to do it, right? Do the cityscape problem. It's hard, it's annoying, it's tedious, but doing it a bunch will just make you good at using arrays, which can be very helpful in an interview, and it can also be helpful in real life. So I really do like those problems because they're just so delicious. You know what I mean? They're very, very delicious.
In other words, in terms of coding interviews, problem solving is...
By the way, someone said, be good at this shit and stop crying about how hard it is. I know you're just like being extreme, but there's so many people that have this kind of mentality that's just like, oh, you're just saying all these. No. Spending 3 months to get good at something when you're planning on doing something for 26 years, for 30 years, what do you mean? Of course it takes time. Do it. It takes a while. You can't just get there. If you honestly, like real talk, if you think like this right here, Puntry, Again, you're just emphasizing how stupid this is. If you think that you should just know these and this should be easy to do, you're an idiot. It's not easy to do. This is the reason why it gets paid so much, is because it's not easy to do. It takes a long ass time to get good at something. If anyone can do it, it's not easy for AI. I literally just showed you AI producing not quicksort and calling it quicksort. It's not easy for AI either. Soon, trust me, bro. Go live in your retrofuturism for a while, my friend. Go off, and I want you to go look at all of the times in which people have promised all these things and realize it is not going to happen as fast as you think it is, okay? Soon, trademark, okay? Soon, so soon. Don't you worry. I hate those takes. It's just so annoying. Stop with just, if you think okay, honestly, real talk. If you think AI is going to be taking Yuri, if you think AI is going to be taking over it, you should stop programming and only use ChatGPT. You better get really good at prompting. Okay, you should get really, really good at prompting, and you should quit learning data structures and algorithms. Quit learning anything. You should quit learning all the things, because honestly, if you really think that, then lean in, right? If you do you believe what you really believe is really real? Then act like it.
It's all about pattern recognition. A reasonable approach to coding interviews would be to first learn the core algorithms needed. It's fine to look at solutions. You're in the learning phase. Just like an ML model, you're taking in training data. After that, you should try to apply your knowledge. If you were able to derive the solution to all these problems by yourself, it would greatly improve your problem-solving skills.
Ooh, coin change? This one is a difficult one. Dynamic programming is by far one of the hardest concepts of all time. Dynamic programming is sometimes used, but man, is it difficult. Coin change is so hard. Every time I do it, if I don't practice dynamic programming and solve problems regularly, I forget how to do it. There's like a secret to it, and I know it involves going up and back, but it's just like, okay, what's the thing? What's the one? It's just so particular. It's very, very hard. Coin change. What's coin change? I actually do coin change live in an algorithms video that I've made. I've coin changed hard, okay? I've coin changed with the best of them, but it's also very, very, very difficult.
But that's obviously not realistic. But consider this. If you're trying to figure out the edit distance algorithm, you would have a much better chance of doing so if you first solved the longest common subsequence problem, because it has significant overlap. And of course, that's not something you realize until you've actually solved these problems, which is kind of why I've organized them in this list. You don't have to have already solved the problems to make that connection. By the way, this is LeetCode.io. There's a ton of free resources on it, so check it out. If you want to support me and gain access to an ever-growing amount of content, you can do so by getting a pro membership. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Go get it. Go get it, you weak people. Go get it and learn something. Then maybe watch a little bit of Asmon Milk. Go get it. Hashtag ad. Hey, by the way, I love ads like that. Real talk, I love ads like that. Because it is something he made, right? It's something he made that is his, and he is doing his own ad. He is self-propping himself up. He made great points within this video. There's things I really liked about it. And so I absolutely love it. Okay, I absolutely love it. You should support him for that kind of stuff. Because here's the deal with that kind with those kind of things, is that he's building something that makes you potentially better at potentially interviewing, right? And that is your whole goal, is to get in there, learn the secret handshake, do all that slapping that you have to do, and bada bing, bada boom, there we go, right? And so, of course, I absolutely support that, and I think you should go do it. Go do it. Me and my homies love Neat. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, hey, the name. I still think farmers will outperform mathematicians in the long run. A Jen.